Alright, the Hawk is back with your TNA Turning Point 2023 review. I thought I'd wait for the actual pay-per-view to air and I'd mix in the day's events, or in the Hawk's case, a couple of days' events. Because Newcastle is a very, very long way away from Bridgewater Bay.
Dreary as hell.
I headed off to Dorset and it was cool meeting up with ticket winner Scott, who was just a normal bloke. Pretty sure it's the first time in my life I've chatted wrestling with anyone for a solid 7 hours. My voice was nearly done.
We're in Frisk. Scott's gone to the loo, so what we're going to do is we're going to drive off. Here he comes. Whee! Whee! Just made it to my hotel at 1 in the morning. Scott's out there somewhere, he's in a bad mood. He didn't like the journey, it was too much for him. But we're going to get some sleep now.
But before we can start the review, it's time for a whole new segment, because I just love segments. It's Arts and Crafts with the Hawk.
It's the Hawk and Scott, drawing a lot. It's the Hawk and Scott, drawing a lot. I really miss Rob Terry. He makes me very merry.
Looks good, mate. Can't imagine what that's going to be when it's finished. We only took the ginger guy with us for the diversity quota, let's be honest.
Well, yeah. Eddie Slapnuts.
We're going to literally have to colour these letters in for it to look good. Sonny Siaki, double N. I can't even remember.
Wild Slapnuts appears.
That looks so good. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. That didn't go too well, did it? Looks fucking terrible.
Scott in particular had a hatred of Adam Wilborn. Now, I've never taken a sign to a wrestling event before, and we did get a bit carried away with this.
What do you think about that?
Time well spent. That was
Arts and Crafts out of 10?
Crafts. 9 out of 10. Probably let it down by this phone, Adam.
It's Hawk and Scott. We're gonna draw a lot.
Our hotel was in Sunderland, so we got an Uber over to Newcastle with the aim of meeting up with our second ticket winner, Ginger James.
En route to the show now to meet Ginger Guy. Quite excited to see him. How do you feel about this, Scott?
Very excited to meet the ginger guy.
Yeah. Let's do it.
James hadn't had far to come, but he was still somehow late. And surprise, surprise, just another guy. He was actually a right character. Although, at this point, my ability to talk about wrestling was fading.
Hi, I'm James. I'm from Berwick-upon-Tweed. I work in social care, and I'm a big pro wrestling fan. And I'm clearly very ginger.
After a few drinks at Newcastle, we headed off to TNA Turning Point. The venue TNA had chosen for this show was nothing more than a small sports centre dome, far from grand.
What do you think of the venue, Scott?
It's looking different.
Yeah.
Different.
It just wasn't incredible inside either. Pretty small time, there was maybe 800 people in there, but at least it was packed. Other shows on the UK tour have looked far more impressive from what I've seen. Despite having front row tickets, there was no room at the front and they ended up shoving us off to the side under the lighting.
Disgraceful.
Annoyingly, this meant we weren't on the hard camera side.
Who's here that is impressed?
Scott Demore. He's looking very fetching in a beige suit.
With his size?
He would probably take me down and put us on my back. He's a short, hefty unit. built like a short tank.
There was a couple of dark matches, nothing too notable except perhaps Mark Haskins making his TNA return since his famous botch. And his wife. Talk about out of place on this show. And then she goes and stands in front of this young couple the entire match. That poor bloke. In my head, I was telling him, just stay strong, brother, just stay strong. Little did I know, his girlfriend would have her revenge later on. We kick things off with Perk Alexander teaming up with EY Eric Young. They are a tag team because they are both bold, or perhaps Canadian. Eric Young was incredibly popular. They took on Subculture. Mandrews was of course in TNA during its dying years. This is just a match. The commentary team are desperately trying to tell us that Subculture have the home field advantage, even though they're from the country of Wales, and this is England. So basically, Subculture weren't cheered very much. Andrews and EY joined the match. Fans were very happy for EY to get the tag. Young is still very good. He's just a happy old man. The main entertainment going on this match was trying to make Young laugh and dance. Subculture get Alexander isolated with their teamwork. Not for long though, and Young's back in with another smile. It just kind of trundles along for a while. No one cares about this Webster guy though, so it's hard to care about the match. Mark Andrews gets the tag and things improve. He does a moonsault off the apron to the outside. Wouldn't recommend it on that hard floor. Hey, there's me. Back in the ring, Mandrews hits a nice DDT and a code red for a 2. Suddenly, the beam kicks in and Alexander throws everybody with German suplexes. Josh hits the Green Bay plunge into Eric Young's diving elbow, which surprisingly didn't end the match. It all breaks down and the Canadians get on double sharpshooters, but the heels make the ropes. Mandrews ends up hitting a couple of stunners and tags his partner, who hits the Swanton Bomb. Dude, I was watching the TNA Impact Turning Point show the other day, man, and this dude, Subculture, he stole my Swanton Bomb finishing maneuver, man, but it didn't finish. Man, I'm going back to Carolina, and I'm going to tell my stoner friend Shannon all about you, Subculture, man. Anyway, EY hits the pile driver, which doesn't end the match either. They hit Alexander with a Frankensteiner, and it looks like the match is turning. But the Culture Club smash into each other, and Perk cripples one with a backbreaker, and moments later the C4 spike on Mandrews. A decent match, but it was hard to care without a story. We get to know now about how a new guy, Leon Slater, has just signed a TNA contract. The dude was working the dark matches on the UK tour, and he was very exciting. I just have to question if he actually brings anything to the table over what they already have on the show. They don't need more wrestlers who can do a flip, they need big characters. Maybe he can be that, who knows. One thing's for sure though, this guy certainly ain't helping American stereotypes of British people. Giselle Shaw, who makes the boys hit the floor, has a match against another British wrestler, Alex Windsor. No idea who she was, but she looked pretty powerful. It's unfortunately another match that's happening for no reason. This match features the first cutter of the night, a move we'd be seeing time and time again. Shaw tries to go running and bouncing off the ropes, which has turned into a Blue Thunder Bomb, shades of Slapnut Edwards. Giselle wins it with a bunch of knees to the noggin, not very exciting. Somewhere in the darkness, Simon Miller is a heel. He does a bunch of catchphrases and says that he doesn't believe in Joe Hendry. Rich Swann and Trey Miguel had a match. That's all I wrote. But I admit I didn't watch most of it. It's another match with no reason to be happening between two wrestlers that just need to go away. They fought on the mini stage for a bit while Swann is caught with a kick and has to crawl past the Shove It squad. Unfortunately, we weren't in our seats for it. Rich Swann hits the second cutter of the night and the 450 splash. Miguel apparently gets his shoulder up, but the ref counts to 3 anyway. Subculture is back again. Yay! More women with ugly coloured hair. It's Danny Luna versus Royden Grace. Danny Luna is bigger than Royden, but she doesn't have as much of a chiselled physique. Luna does have some pretty impressive power moves, and these two are evenly matched. There's this spot where they both smash heads, and I really thought Grace was going to fall headfirst into a nutsack. Sadly not. Luna German suplexes her through the ropes, which was pretty cool. Grace responds with the fade to black, but can't get the 3, and then Grace wins with the needle driver. Probably match of the night up to this point.
Keep rolling.
Now the only match with a story so far. Joe Hendry has been getting annoyed with Miller on Twitter. They used to be friends, but Miller has turned heel and he's been disrespecting Hendry. Miller makes his entrance to a pretty big reaction. Sadly, Scott's Adam Wilborn sign doesn't make it onto telly. Miller cuts a promo first, bragging that he's better than all the known wrestlers in the back. He's not really wrong though about being better known, is he? He also has more YouTube money than anyone else. Then he drops his microphone and everybody is loving life. Hendry makes his way out, but first he's made his own song for Simon Miller. Something about saying that Miller is Austin from Wish and compares him to Mr. Clean and shows a picture of Simon from his past where Simon has long greasy locks. Pretty sure Joe Hendry was the only wrestler who laughed at our signs, and this guy gets a great reaction too. Hendry interrupts Miller's ups and downs. Joe spins him around and slams him. He gets the I believe in Joe Hendry thing going as he slaps Simon. Miller just couldn't get going in this match, but he does eventually off a side slam. The crowd start getting all over Miller and asking where his hairs have gone. Joe has just too much strength for him though and keeps slamming and suplexing him. He gets distracted by the crowd and is flattened by a Miller spear. Miller looks for another, instead he runs into the third cutter of the night. Simon has a flurry of offense now, but the story of the night is the wrestlers getting sidetracked by the crowd. He turns around into a spinebuster, and that's the 3. I enjoyed the crowd reaction, it made all the difference having the crowd pay attention to the match. Makes you realise that Simon Miller has to be respected a little bit more for his ability to work a crowd. Not sure where he goes from here though, because he's not going to sign with TNA because he's going to make more money than they'd be able to pay him. So does he take a step back from his earnings? I don't know, it's tricky at his age, he probably has a mortgage to pay for.
Hello, this is my best friend.
Hello, best friend. What's your name? Ryan. So how are you enjoying the show, Josh?
I'm loving it. To be fair, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit drunk right now. So I think alcohol makes everything better. I don't need it. So we're doing good. That's a good time.
And what's your best match of the night so far?
Probably Joe Hendry and Simon Miller. I'm more a fan of the guys who can do a lot more, get a bigger reaction. Smart guy. I'm a Jim Cornette guy.
Who's winning the main event tonight?
It's Will Ospreay and Eddie Edwards. I think Will Ospreay because he's a hometown boy. So
And he's not a slap nut, is he?
he's not a slap nut. No. You know what? I wish that Jeff Jarrett was here.
Oh no.
Highlights now of a man and a woman who have just won gut check. One was a woman with pink hair, for God's sake.
Nice to meet you too.
Looking forward to tonight.
Well, I was looking forward to the machine guns, but apparently Shelley's injured.
Oh shit.
Yeah, one of my mates, he was in for the meet and greet earlier on. They've been told Shelley's got injured yesterday, so he's not going to be on the rest of the tour. But Saban's still going to be on though. So
what they're doing about the match?
I don't know. He was talking, but I wasn't listening. So
Thanks for talking.
no, can I get a photo as well?
Another match is Moose and Myers taking on Kazarian and Chris Sabin. There was supposed to be an X Division title match on this show, but I guess Alex Shelley getting injured meant the card had to be shifted around. So it's yet another match with no reason to be happening. Moose is a lot of fun to watch live. Sadly, the rest of the match isn't very fun, and I strongly dislike matches that are happening for no reason. Moose wins the spear as he walks on to become the World Heavyweight Champion in January. Diana Perazzo versus Trinity for the Knockouts title now. Randomly, Gail Kim is the referee and the crowd are just loving seeing her. I just loved the look of pure confusion on Diana's face as we held up a sign saying, "Don't look at my ass." She probably has no idea who Sonny Siaki is. True dedication from Trinity though, getting a Union Jack in her haircut. This match is incredibly slow and the crowd are sadly in silence for large parts of it. Eventually Trinity connects with the Simone drop, which I was just about okay with. Anyway, they both keep coming close until eventually the Virtuoso and Gail Kim have a falling out. Trinity tries a submission with the Virtuoso fighting out of it. Trinity crushes her with the ass buster and her persistence does eventually pay off and she makes her tap out. Diana is a bad loser and gets in Gail Kim's face, so Gail makes her eat defeat. A fine match which went too long.
So we've met Cowboy James Storm.
We have, yeah. He was so cool. Wait. Oh, damn, baby, I didn't realize that you have here for me. You're gonna come out and go into the darkness of the beer. We've got a whip round of the souls. Any other perks?
It's going downhill, mate.
Now Will Ospreay is here. He has bogeys hanging out of his nose. The entire story here is that both guys were trained in Japan and they want to see who's better. So basically, there isn't a story. We were very happy to give Edwards a piece of our small minds. It's been a long time coming. On commentary they talk about what a great job Edwards did carrying the banner for Impact Wrestling all those years, and then he's almost booed out of the building. You might be wondering here, why Edwards in this spot? You can't get much more of a ham and egger than Eddie Slapnut Edwards. Well, to be honest, there wasn't really many options, especially with Shelley injured. Ospreay was by far the most popular man on the show. I went into this one with the ambition to find out why Will Ospreay is so popular and just to sit and watch the entire match. And I feel like by the end of the match I did understand. Ospreay actually knew how to play with the crowd and get a reaction. Edwards actually starts winning for a while and Edwards just messing around. He shouldn't mess around though, because Ospreay hits a springboard forearm, shades of AJ Styles. It wasn't really very easy to dive here because there wasn't very many mats, but eventually Ospreay hits a tame dive out of the ring, whilst the guy from earlier almost loses his girl to Ospreay. Eventually the crowd get bored and they start a chant saying, "If you hate Edwards, stand up," and literally every person in the building stood up, which just warms my heart to see. Finally my message is getting through. Do I even have a heart at this point? Edwards shuts down Ospreay with a backpack stunner. Ospreay does another stunner cutter type move. It was definitely the most overused move of the night. Ospreay hits the Spanish fly and then he dives off the ropes with yet another cutter. Why was everyone allowed to do this move so much on that night? Anyway, Edward hits the Blue Thunder Bomb, but he can't hit the Boston Knee Party. Both guys no sell and they just hit their finishers for a double down. A massive TNA chant starts. They start doing the "can you top that" trade-off. Ospreay's kicking him in the head and it just looks ridiculous and dumb. Edwards hits the Tiger Driver for a 2. Ospreay continues with the AJ Styles tributes and does a Stars Clash. It makes sense for this show. Ospreay ends up smashing him with running elbow and wins with the Stormbreaker. Definitely the right choice. Afterwards, Ospreay does a good political promo. He's basically talking about where he's signing next. He says a whole lot of nothing, but he makes it sound important. He essentially says he loves TNA, but he won't be signing for the company. And you should have seen the people desperate to touch this man after the show went off the air. This guy's a star. People were almost smacking each other over for a chance to touch Will Ospreay.
People have been asking me for a while now, and I'm finally ready to tell all you wonderful people I finished my kitchen. Regardless of what happens come February, I want to make this clear to every person back there at the roster, the people on the comms. It's because of all of you guys and every single person, whether it's here, Canada, America, Mexico, we have yearned and begged for TNA to come back.
The crowd all seemed to have a good time, with some people saying they enjoyed it more than AEW All In at Wembley. Me personally, it was definitely easier to see it, because my view at AEW was appalling. I don't think I can really compare it though, it's apples and oranges.
What's your match of the night so far?
So far, probably Grado so far.
Grado? Yeah. How would you compare it to All In?
Honestly?
Yeah.
Not in comparison.
In which way? Which is, this is worse?
Scale. Not worse, scale.
Yeah.
Scale.
It's production and scale, yeah.
My favourite match of tonight's show was Josh Alexander and Erica Young versus Subculture England, Wales versus Canada rules.
Stop.
Right, we're here with the Irish guy.
We're not interviewing right now.
Did you enjoy the show? That's all.
I had a very good time, except for the Trinity match with Gianna Perazzo.
Why?
Because it was bollocks. Gianna Perazzo is a terrific wrestler. However, Trinity Fatu can wrestle the WWE style. The match in Bound for Glory was quite good, but I'm never going to watch it again. Am I making any sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
TNA/Impact Wrestling doing what they do best, and that's solid wrestling. And I would recommend to everybody that when TNA or Impact Wrestling is in your city, that you definitely pop out and give them a show. Give them your money, your wrestling money, wrestling fans out there.
Because they're trying to do something different.
I would describe their wrestling as solid all the way through. I describe it as I hate to use the word old-fashioned, but solid. It's like Calgary Stampede, that kind of stuff. They just get on with it. There's no flashiness, and they're just solid matches all the way through.
Probably Simon Miller versus Joe Hendry, to be honest. Like, anytime the crowd went silent, Joe brought the crowd back up. Simon turning heel, like on a crowd that's supposed to like him. You can't like that. You wouldn't expect that. And the whole show was brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, every match had like something going on, and
should people check out TNA?
100%, especially when they change the name back to TNA. Like, at the end of the day, like, TNA is where it's at. Impact is just the name of the show. Yeah. TNA is the company, and it always should be.
The TNA show was fine, but it felt like a house show, despite this apparently being a pay-per-view. The best matches for me was Miller and Hendry because I enjoyed the crowd interaction. It felt like you were part of the show. I also enjoyed the main event, and you just can't hate on Osprey when I see how much he means to the people. Once again, like AEW, the people I met along the way made the show feel special. My favourite fan moment of the night was this guy coming up to me asking for a picture because he thought I was OSW Reviews. Shout out those guys, it gave us all a good laugh after a long day. Special thanks to Scott, who road tripped with me for a combined 14 hours and must have been sick of talking about wrestling by the end of the road trip. He's probably so sick of the Hawk that he never wants to hear my voice again. He was probably sat there thinking, shut up or I'll smack you one. So TNA won't actually be able to make any changes to the show until January. It's probably not even worth checking out the show until then. Everything is pre-taped up until then. I just hope when that comes around they bring in some damn storylines, because Wrestler A fighting Wrestler B because they have a belt is not a good storyline. Let's think about this creatively, TNA. Anyway, that's about it. We've had a heavy focus on TNA this month, more than usual, and there's some non-TNA related videos I've been dying to make, so give the Hawk a break or I'll make your girl's knees shake.
Thanks for entering the ticket draw and supporting.
Thank you very much, Marky. You've honestly,
pleasure.
You've given one of the best nights of my life, mate.
Thank you. And that's what his girl said as well.